Hey, what's up guys? If you're new here, my name's Thomas. I'm on a journey to grow my YouTube channel, currently closing in 50,000 subscribers, and also my business. And we've been doing around $900 a day in these last 7-day period. Today, already on 1,000, so maybe we'll breach the 1,500 today. Let's get into your questions. We've got some awesome ones. Just for context, I've been on a mission recently to make a daily video. So this is one of 3 videos I'm actually shooting today. Pretty hectic. It's the most hectic day I've had so far probably, because today's Friday. I'm taking the weekend off, seeing my parents and spending time with my family. And so today I'm shooting 3 YouTube videos, which I think is a record. So let's get into these questions. These are all email responses. So I put out an email to my newsletter a few hours ago and said, last minute thing, I'm doing a Q&A today. And we got 22 responses already. If you want to be part of the email list where you can have the opportunity to ask me questions like this in these Q&A videos, I've put a couple of free resources in the description below designed to entice you to give me your email address. I make sure that all my link magnets are insanely valuable. So feel free to join through one of those things rather than just signing up to my newsletter. You get a cool free bonus thing. So the first one is from Steven. Shout out to Steven. First question in. I believe these are in time order. How do you balance between making videos with trending titles over the ones you just create yourself? If the material is always all on your own, can you use trending titles for every video? I'm just going to share from my own personal experience here. Obviously, I've made a lot of videos recently, and my initial strategy was making titles randomly, this is an idea I've had, I'm just going to make a title. And the videos didn't perform that well. We've got sort of 1,000 views, 4,000 views. Then I decided, right, I'm going to change the game and I'm going to do what everyone should do on YouTube, which is go and look at a load of outliers and copy the outliers' title structures and make my own based off that. And so I made this video based on that, this video based on that, and these 2 videos based on that. And this one got 3,000, this one 2,000, this one 1,000, this one 1,000. None of them did that well. In the middle of all of that, I did something different, which was I came up with a title based on what had already worked on my channel before, and that one's currently on 16,000. There is a pattern that I've seen, which is when I go into my most popular videos, and maybe just these top 6 to 8 videos, ones of 20,000 views and above, I'm finding that if I remix the titles and thumbnails of these videos and take the core concepts that have already won for me and then make new videos based on that, they will perform consistently much better. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm just making the same content all the time, because within those videos, I can talk about new, fresh things. But the overall premise is to just keep doing what works. And so I might take, for example, we can see here, there's a concept of not scripting and just speaking off the cuff. There's a concept of authenticity. There's a concept of doing a video in one take and not editing. And so I use those ideas and rehash them into this video, which is speak like this to make YouTube videos with 0 editing in one take, and it's doing really well. That is the strategy that I'm following more and more now than ever. And what I'm also doing is within that, I'm innovating. So every 2 or 3 videos, because I'm making so many now, because I'm making daily videos, I have a lot more space for innovation. So what I'm doing is also just coming up with new, fresh ideas that I think will work, kind of based on what I've done before, but also trying to innovate a bit more to see if I can get new things to add to my pool of already proven videos, so I have more breathing room when I'm remixing those in the future, if that makes sense. And just for example, this 30-day challenge, posting videos on every day on YouTube, that as a concept is also proven. So the concept of upload daily, this one got 10,000 views in just 3 days. And so for me, that's another proven thing that I can then add to my pool of proven things to then remix in the future. So that was I was like, shit, is this going to work? I don't know. And it worked really well. If you don't have, I'm not sure how big your channel is, but if you don't have videos that are already working, I think it can be a good idea to follow trends and outliers to initially get your videos going. But I wouldn't use it as gospel of like, you always have to get outliers. It's more about understanding viewer psychology in general and understanding what makes your viewers click and what your viewers actually want. So it's the psychology of people in general, understanding curiosity and the curiosity gaps and those kind of things. But also it is knowing what your viewers want, because my viewers might want something completely different to somebody else. Like if somebody in my niche decided to make videos about the same topics as me, they might completely bomb on their channel because their viewers don't want that. So it's understanding more and more what your viewers want. I hope that helps. Andrew, my question is, I am in the travel niche. So for some videos, using a script is, as far as I see it, pretty unavoidable if I want to get the details spot on. Great. Scriptless is great and builds connection. But what about these situations where accuracy matters? Can you have the best of both worlds? Yeah, you can. You just, in that case, accuracy, I mean, what do you need to be accurate about? You just need to remember the actual facts. So the facts that you need to be accurate about, maybe write them down on a little post-it note or a notebook or something, and then just have those facts to hand. And then when you're making your intro or whatever you need to do, you just have your facts ready. And I think you can just read them off a notebook. Like, I don't think we don't have to be, on YouTube isn't about being a TV presenter where you have a whole minute worth of dialogue ready and you're walking towards the camera. This is in like a travel video context. Germany is one of the leading countries in economic blah, 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 blah. Like, YouTube isn't like that. People aren't expecting your YouTube channel to be like that. So if you have your intro and you say, guys, I'm going to read you some crazy facts about this country right now. This, you can even have it in your hand. Or if you want to memorize it, that's great, but just have your facts on a piece of paper and then you can riff and run around that. That I don't think it means just because you need to be accurate, you need to have a script. Michelle, my bell. Do you guys know that song, The Beatles? Hey Alexander, not sure if this fits, but since I am new in creating YouTube videos, just uploaded my second video, hooray. I would love to get tips on intros and outros. Do you change yours every time or do you have a standard template? So I have in my intros and outros, I have a standard psychology rather than a template, which is, this is my evil scheming hands, by the way. I have confirm, curiosity, credibility, context. So confirm is where you confirm the title. So if you have a great, big, bold, compelling title, you just want to kind of repeat that title or say something that at least locks in the viewer's mind that, oh, I clicked for this big promise and the video is about this big promise. So you confirm the title. Curiosity, just think what makes my audience curious to stay to the end without saying, watch till the end. Then you have context, which can be tied, and these can all overlap. It doesn't have to be a sentence for each. You can do all of these in even one sentence, but context is what new thing can I tell them that reveals that they need to know more stuff. And so context might be something like, there's a classic line of, what if I told you? That's a great context curiosity line. So I could say, what if I told you that YouTube this year had just changed forever and that new rules are in place that if you don't understand are going to sabotage your channel, right? So I'm giving you new information that makes you think, what's the rest of the information I need to know? So you're giving some context. And then the final thing is credibility, which is, why am I qualified to talk about this? Those are the 4 things I try to put in all of my intros, where and when I can. Leroy, hello and good luck with your long day. Thank you very much. This is video 2. I've got one more after this. My question would be simple. How do you keep eye contact well with the camera? I think it's the point I struggle with most, as my eyes and face always go away from the camera as I speak and ramble. Would love advice on that. Yeah, so it's just a muscle that you train. Most of the time, if we're not used to looking at the camera, our eyes go away to think, right? So if you want to train, like I just did there, my eyes just went down and looked at the plug socket whilst I was trying to think of the next thought. If you want to train your eyes to lock onto the camera whilst you think, it's just a muscle that you train. So you've just got to try and do it. I know it's not a very satisfying answer, but you just got to try. So practice 5 minutes. I'm going to think whilst just maintaining eye contact with the camera. And you'll find that actually it's less about training this as a muscle over time, and actually it's a habit that you can break pretty quickly. And you can find that you can pull those thoughts, stories, and ideas without actually looking anywhere else other than the camera. And it can give you this sort of locked in kind of vibe. Caveat of that, having said that, I don't think you need to do it. I try and give beginners the rule of looking at the camera about 80% of the time. And so it's okay to look away and gather your thoughts where you can. But I feel like the more advanced you get on YouTube, the more rules you can break. So if you have a genuine comfort and confidence on camera, then you can start breaking rules. So I can be here and just be totally comfortable in this room and very used to talking to camera. And I could probably spend most of the video thinking whilst talking and not having my eyes on the camera. And I could probably get away with it. Would it be better if I looked at the camera more? Yeah, probably. But it's still okay. So these are all rules. I say 80% is a good rule, but really it's about self-awareness and knowing in your situation, okay, if I am not that confident on camera, it's probably better to have more eye contact actually, because that's going to make me appear more confident, right? And that self-awareness is only gained through practice. Next up, we got Richard. Hi, Alex. I've been watching your latest series of a video every single day. Thank you very much. Welcome. My question is, how do you see much, if any, B-roll recommend talking head? Also, I've noticed you have captions. Is this for retention? I've employed some of your tips, deliberately added more of us online in our latest video, and we've had 7K views in the first day, a record for us. Oh, awesome. Well done, Richard. That's a massive win. How much B-roll if talking head? It just depends on the video style, really. I don't use any B-roll in my videos. If you mean B-roll is externally captured footage. I would like to do it more, make more vlogs and stuff like that. That'd be cool. And more creative videos. But I think realistically for businesses, they don't really need to use much B-roll. In your case, for travel videos, I think keeping a good balance. Back in the day when I would make travel videos, I would try and keep it about 50-50, I believe. So 50% of the time B-roll, 50% talking head. And that gives you a nice mix between putting clips on top of your talking head footage and not having to if you just want to show your face. The key there with those kind of videos, if you're making more like documentary style or travel videos, is that you just want to get a lot of both. So you want to get good clips, good, stable, nice looking clips of you giving the A-roll talking to camera, and you want an abundance of B-roll. And then in the edit, you can have the choice to make the best video possible with that. The situation you don't want to be in is being in the position where I haven't talked to the camera much, so I have to use loads of B-roll, or I've got not very much B-roll, so I have to show all my A-roll. You want choice. And congrats on that video popping off. Well done. Ryan. Apologies for that. As someone who's also creating daily content, what do you think should be the primary focus of each video in order to grow your business, not necessarily just get views? Yeah, awesome question. You're also creating daily content. Great. So I think that there should be a smorgasbord of content. You notice that right now I'm doing a Q&A. Q&As are generally pretty good for building a closer connection to your existing audience, to converting people who have maybe seen one of your videos into a regular viewer who comes back, getting people to know you more. So they can be great for sales or ramping up to sales from just cold viewers. Different kind of content format, I believe, are really necessary. I think if you make the same kind of video over and over again, you're not making the most of turning your viewers into buyers, essentially. And so different videos can do different things. Oftentimes, you'll find that videos that do really well for sales don't do that well for views. Sometimes you can find that golden zone, but a lot of the time, no. And accepting that as a fact is really important. I've found that case study videos are by far the most reliable and consistent with getting sales. So just making a video, maybe if I'm making 7 videos a week, making 1 video a week at least where I'm showing a client's results and talking about a client case study, the views won't be great, but they always bring in really reliable sales. And it basically means that, anyone who's looking at videos where I'm talking about a new interesting concept and that might appeal to new viewers and they're watching those videos, as soon as I show they start watching a case study and being like, oh, Thomas has worked with somebody, let's see how that's gone. And they see that, they're much more likely to buy, right? So case studies, Q&As, the typical sort of info content. You can also do more like step-by-step videos. I don't do much of those. I should probably do more, but you can do these sort of videos where you guide somebody through a step-by-step process, more like you would do with your clients. So if you have a high-ticket program or any kind of program and you make very detailed, in-depth content, you can do more of that on YouTube, and that tends to convert better into sales as well. So those are some ideas that I would implement. Next up, we got Santiago. Hi Thomas, what are your thoughts on quiet, intimate expression versus louder, more expansive, crazy energy? I feel like the second is harder to access sometimes from fear of judgment, especially when you find you're filming somewhere where people can see you. Yeah, I think there could be a middle ground. So you're saying like quiet, intimate expression or more expansive, louder energy. What if there is somewhere in the middle? What if the place in the middle looked like how you would talk to somebody in a coffee shop if you were excited about something? I mean, everyone's different. Some people are much more expansive and extroverted. Other people are more introverted. But you'd probably end up with somewhere in the middle that's like a really nice middle ground where you don't feel like you're shouting at the camera. You're speaking in a normal, relatable, natural tone and volume, but there's energy there. Like there's excitement there. Like there's a huge difference if I just give a demo now between I'm keeping the same volume and pace, but I've sort of lost all the energy and I'm just talking like this. So like my volume and pace hasn't changed much, but I'm actively trying now to not exude any energy and just talking without much energy versus keeping the same volume and pace, but talking with more energy. And I'm finding that my hands are moving more, my expression is probably changing more, I'm feeling more energetic as I'm talking. This is a much more engaging way to present, even though I haven't made myself loud, crazy, and energetic. Hope that helps. Sarah, awesome to see that you're doing this Q&A. Thank you. I'm part of your 30-day talking to camera challenge right now. Finished day 10 today. Let's go, Sarah. And I already feel the momentum of recording a video every day. It's incredible that you create a course with such small actionable steps that people actually follow through. This is great. Just reading out a testimonial. Amazing. Actually follow up on creating real momentum, motivation, inspiration. Already seeing much improvement after 1.5 weeks. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for the kind words, Sarah. And you're earning it. If you're putting the action in every day, that's you. Well done. I actually have 2 questions. Have you thought about doing a meetup for the community? I love connecting with like-minded people. I always get inspired and motivated. I have not seriously considered doing a meetup. I agree that meetups can be totally amazing and life-changing. I'm just not in the phase. I think meetups is something that I would maybe look to do if I did do them later down the road, maybe next year or something like that. I know these things take a long time to plan in advance, but the short answer and the honest answer is no, I haven't really thought about that. To me, I think it seems like this, to me at least, it seems like this big logistical thing that seems a bit intimidating. So just for those reasons, it's not really sort of forefront of my mind. What's a decision in your entrepreneurial career that felt small but had a huge impact downstream? Oh, that's a good question. Man, I'm just gonna, the thing that's coming to me right now is what I'm doing right now. And the problem with this answer is that I haven't felt a huge impact yet downstream because it's so recent, but it's basically doing these videos every day. And I think more than me saying that this is the thing, daily videos, it's more like going all in on YouTube. So this month, or all in on content, doesn't even have to be YouTube. But this month, I've basically done nothing else other than YouTube. And to be able to do that is such a game changer. And things are already going much better in my business and channel that I can only see this is the beginning of something amazing. And so I have a feeling that this, in my entrepreneurial career, this is probably the most significant thing I have done, although I haven't seen those lasting and big results yet. But I'm just going to say it, a bit ballsy, but I think this is the thing. We'll see. Amazing. Lauren, is it too late to start in 2026? If not, how do you stand out in a field that appears to be so saturated? It seems like everyone is making content these days. Lauren, the thing to understand with this is that it's always seemed like that, always. So since the beginning of YouTube, probably 2 years into it, and whatever year that was, 2008 or something, it already seemed like everyone was on YouTube and it was already saturated. And then in 2012, it was the same. 2016, it felt the same. 2020, it felt the same. 2024, it felt the same. And if you see the graphs and the statistics, yeah, sure, more and more people are on YouTube, but it's always felt like that. And so I think the question of saturation, it isn't even a question. I don't think, personally. I don't think you shouldn't get into something because it's so saturated. It's probably so saturated because it's probably working for a lot of people. That's my honest 2 cents. It's just think about this. People are going to be saying the same thing in 2028 and 2030 and 2035. They'll be like, is YouTube too late to start? And people will be like, well, I wish I'd started in 2026, which is now. Aljosa, or Z. Okay, confusing. I'm not sure how this was formatted, but it's Z. Hey, Z. Hey, Thomas, I have a family and full-time work. I'm having trouble to allocate time to work on YouTube videos. The problem beside the time itself is that I don't have a dedicated space. I recorded a couple of videos on my work desk, but I can't do that on a regular basis since it's often busy at home when I have the time. How do you find time and space that can be as frictionless as possible so I can fit in my busy schedule? Yeah, I feel like with this kind of question, you have to do things when you have the best energy possible. And this is just, if you want to make this work, then it's going to have to be time and energy. More energy than time. And what I mean by that is you want to be carving out time in your day where it's quiet and you can really think, really plan, record in peace. That's the environment or the time that you want to create for yourself. And so if for you that means, okay, got full-time work and family, if for you that means getting up really early to do this, that's what you got to do. Or if it's, right, doing this when everyone's asleep in bed, that's what you got to do. The problem is when everyone's asleep in bed, I mean, it depends on every person. Every person's different. But if everyone is in bed, you might have low energy. And for me, it's not even worth comparing who I am when I've got low energy versus who I am versus high energy. Other people are more stable. I don't know about you, but man, when I have high energy, I'm just so there, and low energy, I can't do anything. And so it's understanding yourself more than anything and managing your energy so that you have time to do this. And it might be for you just carving out a couple of mornings a week or something. But if you can have that focused work where you just go deep on it for 3 hours twice a week, you can get a lot more done than just sort of trying to fit it in randomly. I hope that helps. Floris. Hi, I have one for you. How did you go from filming as a hobby to paid clients? I'm curious because I'm struggling to do this a bit along my studies. Filming as a hobby to paid clients. I mean, it's a long story, but when I was studying university, that's when I started my entrepreneurship, when I was in university, and I joined a business course, and the guy was saying, reach out to all these people and then sell them video, because I had some basic, pretty good videography skills at the time, because I grew up making videos. Like, I forget the context here, but I grew up making lots of stupid, funny zombie and action films with my friends in my garden. And so I got like weirdly quite good at filmmaking by the time I was 18, 19. And then I used that to then start like a video production business, which was only like 2 clients. Anyway, when I was at university, I wanted to start that business. So I joined a business course, and the guy said, call these people and sell your services. And then I got a client, and then I was like, I dropped out of university because I was like, I just want to do this. And then for the next 2 years, I started working with more and more clients who I just got from word of mouth and friends of friends in London. And then I stopped doing that to start a YouTube channel where I was making travel videos, traveling all the world, filmmaking, and then I was making courses on how to make travel videos. That's just my story. I don't have a roadmap. I mean, I'm not, from filming as a hobby to pay clients, it's a pretty big question, but maybe sharing my story in that sense gives you some kind of something to hold on to as an answer. I'm not sure how well I answered that one, but feel free to let me know, Flores. Kian, hi Thomas, couple questions here, all similar enough so you can pick one of them. Do you think it's a big risk to quit your job and pursue YouTube full time? What conditions should you have met before quitting your job? Do you get to a stage as a creator where you are confident that you already have steady income from YouTube for the foreseeable future? There's a lot of people out there who would tell you that you need to quit your job. Like, quit your job. 9 to 5, it's evil. Do YouTube. I'm not one of those people. And I also can't talk from something that isn't my own experience. And so I came from the position of dropping out of university, going into a business, making very little money, but just enough to survive for a couple of years, and then things picking up on YouTube. And I had the luxury to be able to live in my parents' house for the first year of doing that when I was 20 or something. And then I moved out to travel in very cheap countries with other friends who are doing similar stuff. So I could live on like $1,000 a month or something in really cheap countries. And then, so I had this sort of year in my parents' house, and then I had 6 months living in really, really cheap countries. And then I could slowly build it up where I could move to Spain and Barcelona and then London, and then whilst the business was growing, right? And so I have not come from the position of I did this alongside a 9 to 5 and then made it work. So I feel quite underqualified for telling you to quit your job and pursue YouTube. What I would probably say, if I did have to answer this, was in your position, Kian, because I know who Kian is, you're getting 10 to 20,000 views on your videos fairly consistently. You've just sold out your one-to-one coaching sessions. I wouldn't quit yet, but I would wait until this income is matching that of your job. And then I think it would be a good time to quit. I think if it's not, and you've got a runway, you just don't know how long it's going to take until this does match your job. And that could cause a lot of unnecessary stress. But I know of YouTubers who have actually waited until their income from YouTube has matched that of their job and then, or even doubled and then quit. And that to me is a more sensible decision. And part of the reason for that is that income from YouTube is also, it's a business, and your business revenue is not your salary. It's a very different thing. And so you can get confused and think, oh, cool, I'm making 5K a month from YouTube and that's the same as my job. And so I'm going to quit. But 5K a month from YouTube, you might have a few expenses, a few software pieces that you're paying for. Maybe you occasionally pay for an editor or whatever it might be. And then after tax, and then you might realize that actually I'm making 3K a month. And then for all you know, it might stay at 3K a month for a long time. You don't know that, right? And so I would recommend matching income from the job and then more, and then being smart with the numbers, as I know you are, and making it work from there. No craziness. Sana, hi, do you ever delete your videos that you've already published? No. Jan, what about non-natively English speaker? Any tips for us? Sent from my iPhone in, is that Swedish? Yeah, I would practice speaking on camera. We've had a ton of people go through the 30-day talking on camera challenge where they're like German, or from a lot of German people actually, but from lots of different countries. And they have got better at speaking English because they've got better at speaking. So if you imagine in your language, imagine if you got a lot better at speaking your own language. And you might say, what are you talking about? I'm fluent in my language. Yeah, but what if you increased your vocabulary, you increased how articulate you were, you increased your confidence, you would literally be speaking your language better, right? For me, if I'm getting better at speaking in English, let's say Barack Obama's spoken English is a lot better than the average person's. So he speaks better English than most English people. And so what it means is that by improving your speaking, you can improve how good you speak in any language that you choose. And so that's what I would recommend, is just getting better at speaking. And if you do that in English, it will make you better in English. Anshul, hello, shooting raw videos and talking such that people find it engaging. It's a skill that will take time. If I start with raw videos with hesitance I have, where do I land? I feel confused how to start in such a case. Yeah. I think when you start out on YouTube, you got to work with what you got. So you don't have to start with doing one-take videos. I think you have to play into your strengths. And so if you are finding that right now it's not one of your strengths to speak and hold people's attention, then you probably don't lean into that. You can work on that in private. You could also make maybe 1 in 4 of your YouTube videos like that to build that skill and see how it works. But for the other videos, lean into your strengths. Are you good at editing? Are you good at filmmaking? Are you good at storytelling? Lean into those strengths, and then you'll get the best results with those strengths that will give you the motivation to keep going. I think if you just try and follow a set principle that somebody like me has said, that one-take videos are great, then one-take videos are great for me. One-take videos might be great for other people who are great at speaking, or people who have gotten a lot better at speaking to be able to do that. But for the average person, if you just start YouTube making a one-take video, you haven't learned a lot of the psychology that you need to be able to speak well. You haven't learned your actual speaking skills. So it might not be the best place to start if you don't find your strengths are naturally there. I hope that clears up some of your hesitancy and confusion. Just play into your strengths. And if you want to build up a weakness, I'm not saying that it is a weakness, I obviously don't know you, but if you're finding it hard right now, build up that skill that you want to build over time, and just keep going with your strengths in the meantime. And then one day you'll be able to make one-take videos and you'll smash it, maybe even in a lot shorter time span than you think. And it could start working for you. Jacob, love to hear your thoughts on building a YouTube channel documenting your personal journey. If you're involved in different business niches, etc. Cool. Yeah. I like that idea a lot. I think there's a lot of people doing that, which is a good thing, by the way. Not to say don't do it because there is a lot. I think do it because there is a lot. Documenting your personal journey if you're involved in a lot of different businesses. Yeah, so you're basically building a personal brand amongst your different business projects. And doing videos, just transparent videos and documentation videos, I think are the best way to do things. And so making videos where you're breaking down your numbers. Also choosing a niche, I think, is important here, because obviously your niche is probably just entrepreneurs who are curious about following the journey, but depending on what your businesses are, you'll probably attract a very specific type of entrepreneur. So if you're an agency and you're talking about how you're growing your agency, obviously you're going to attract agency owners, B2C, obviously different e-commerce, etc. And so being aware of that, and then also making expert content on things that have worked for you, I think it'd be a really good combination to start building a business brand. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Paul, I found 2 people on YouTube who have small notebooks on screen and occasionally reference them in their videos. Do you think this costs them anything or just adds to the honesty of the video? Yeah, so I won't look at the examples, but I know what you mean. It's when you have your notes on screen. Let's pretend this was a notebook. And you're reading your notes as you talk, or maybe you just have them down and you're referencing your notes. No, I don't think it takes anything away from the video. I don't think it makes you less of an expert. I think it's fine. You just got to pay attention, like the eye contact thing of 80% eye contact on the camera. You just got to pay attention to the amount of time that you're spending on your notes. So if you're really using them as a crutch and you're speaking a lot like this, and it's because the camera's making you a bit nervous and you're looking at your notes, or you really don't know what you're saying, then having the notes there is going to take away from how good your video is. But if you have the notes there because you're making like a one-take video and you don't want to edit too much, and you're worried that if you lose your train of thought, it's just you'll be 15 minutes in and into a 30-minute video and then you ruin everything. Having your notes there is fine, right? And referring to them every couple of minutes, right? What was that next point I wanted to make? Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, cool. And then talking about that, I think that's totally fine. I don't think it takes anything away. That was Paul, wasn't it? Yeah. Thanks for the question, Paul. Lucas, question, what's the thing you are improving at most this month? You've been doing this for a long time, but what are you still getting better at? And how has the 30-day challenge impacted your on-camera presence? Cool. Yeah. What's the thing you're improving most this month? Yeah, that's super interesting. I think the thing that I'm improving at actually is in strategy and ideation. That's the thing that surprised me most about this whole journey. In making 30 YouTube videos in 30 days, it started out as actually a project that was to find my voice and improve my, I don't know, somehow improve my presenting or something, to find more of my own voice on YouTube. But what it sort of turned into was a business experiment. And it sort of turned into this thing of, okay, how can I make videos that have the greatest impact on my business and channel? And through that, I've learned a ton. I think that ideation, coming up with good ideas, is being the key. Because what I've learned is that you can make one-take videos with not much editing at all, that if it's a good idea, can perform just as well or a lot better than heavily edited videos that have been heavily planned and take loads of time. So just let me show you this, for example. If we go on my channel again, let's go to like this video, for example, with 9,500 views. It wasn't one take, but there's not much editing in there. It's pretty raw. And I just had a feeling that how to make so many videos that forces your business to grow, upload daily, that would be it's a good idea. And it did really well. And it brought me in tons of leads to my business as well, right? The idea is good. And that's why that worked without making a big fancy video. It's the same as this one that I referenced earlier. Speak like this to make YouTube videos with zero editing. Just so many people hate editing who are being creators, and it takes so much time and it's always hard to find an editor and all this stuff. And so I knew that really hit a pain point, and it was a big, bold promise that I could pay off. So I'm like, cool, I can, and it's, it's kind of meta. It's about that as well. And so I could speak without editing in a one take, just based on the idea. And so getting better at ideation and be able to do it in a very fast way where, you do it in this sort of process every week or every day where you're coming up with ideas and choosing the best ones. I think that's the thing that I've improved the most in over these last 30 days. And in terms of doing this impact my on-camera presence, I think you get to a point where it's just pretty good. It's like diminishing returns, basically. I definitely have room for improvement, but it depends what you want to improve in. I'm definitely good enough, obviously, for YouTube. And so for me, I don't think it's a bottleneck anymore, right? I don't think me becoming a 5% better speaker is going to do much for my channel, versus if I get 50% better at ideation, it's going to do loads for my channel, if that makes sense. Mark Sebastian. Hey, my question. What are the underlying cognitive and unconscious mechanisms that cause highly intelligent individuals to generate value and self-edit their thoughts simultaneously while speaking? And how can these mechanisms be trained so that thinking and speaking operates as one seamless process? That's a great question. What are the underlying cognitive and unconscious mechanisms? For this, I'm just going to point you to a video because it's a long answer and this video is getting very long. This one right here. It doesn't go into the unconscious and underlying mechanisms, but it does show you how to do it, which is more important, because highly intelligent individuals always want to know the reason why, and sometimes that's not helpful. How is more helpful. Why will get you more in your head. How will get you out of your head. So I think I'll point you towards that video. Great question, though. Yeah, very cool. Luca. Hey, Thomas. My interest is in using YouTube to document the launch of a new business venture as the founder, not educational, not to sales, but to create a community that resonate with the brand. I'd love to see more content covering how to improve one's storytelling as it unfolds. Okay, cool. So this is more of a content request. Yeah, cool. Telling one story as it unfolds. Okay, I'll think about that. I'll try and write that down somewhere. Improve one's storytelling as it unfolds. I think the main tip I'd give here is basically to just document everything. And I think storytelling that most people miss is documenting the low moments. They miss documenting the low moments and they don't want to share the high. And so documenting the lows is what makes a story fascinating. A storytelling is basically just this graph of high and low, high and low. And that's what keeps the audience engaged. It's like stakes and it's climax and it's disaster and it's all of these things within that graph. And so when I was making travel documentaries about my own adventures in my own life, more than I'm doing now, the thing that I learned the most about storytelling was capture the moments where everything's going wrong, and that will create the story. If you only capture the nice moments where you're on the beach and enjoying life, there's no story there. Awesome. Avi, hey Thomas, I have 2 questions. If I grab the challenge right now, can I start it at a later date? Is this a Facebook group where you need to upload videos, or is it a separate space? So first question, yes, you can. Just email us. Just grab the challenge and then email us to say, I want to pause the emails and I'll start it later. And then the second question, is this a Facebook group? Yeah, the Facebook group is where you upload the videos for feedback from our expert instructor. And that's it. Yeah. Patience. Awesome. Hey, Thomas, you probably already recorded your video. No, I haven't. Here you are. How can I convince others in my life that I'm not just wasting my time with YouTube? When I'm 46 and everyone has the power and influence in my life, thinks it's ridiculous and I'll never get monetized, so why bother? How can you convince others in your life that you're not wasting your time? I think it's just doing it, basically. I think people respond to conviction. I think the times in my life where I've been quite fortunate to not have people doubt me. But in the times that they did doubt me, it was just seeing me doing things consistently. What builds that, I don't want to call it respect, because it's not as respect or lack of respect. It's more of a, what causes that belief in somebody else, like, oh, they are actually doing this, is when you just do it. So if you show up consistently and do it rather than talk about it, people will start seeing you differently. And, sometimes that will take months or years for that transition to actually happen. But having that internal constitution and that internal conviction to be like, I am just doing this, and not in an argumentative way, because you don't need to argue with people to do it, you just need to do it, then people start seeing, okay, wow, this person's actually on a mission, they're on a journey, they're going towards something, and eventually I'll basically have no choice but to support them. Like, that's the kind of direction you want to go in. As I said, guys, if you want to join the email list, all those free resources are in the description below. Thanks so much for watching this one. I'm not going to leave you with an end screen here, because if you've watched to the end, you're an absolute legend. Comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.